Good afternoon. This is Rich Ness, Executive Vice President with Open Systems Media, here for this week's installment of 5 Minutes With. This week, I'll be speaking with Rob Bodor, who is the Vice President and General Manager for the Americas at Proto Labs. Good afternoon, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing well as well. Thank you very much. Okay, so as most people know, Proto Labs specializes in custom parts for prototyping. Now, this is an industry that has been completely turned on its ear by 3D printing. And while Proto Labs does some form of 3D printing, it's different from what people are doing with these very inexpensive desktop 3D printers. Can you go into a little bit about that, about how it differs and how it compares?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. First, though, just as a bit of context, Proto Labs, we certainly do a lot of prototyping, but we're also an on-demand manufacturer for low-volume production. So we play in spaces beyond just prototyping, which is one of the ways that we differ from desktop 3D printers, to answer your question.
Would you very quickly define low volume?
Sure. Well, so it's a little bit difficult to define, strictly speaking, because for every industry, kind of that cutoff is different. But we do anywhere from quantity 1 to quantity, let's say, into the hundreds of thousands for customers as they need it. And we do so on demand, so we don't require minimum order quantities. And, they can come to us at any time and order any quantity, a few hundred, thousands, 10,000, and we'll respond to them and get them parts within usually a few days.
Okay.
But within the context of prototyping, we're the world's fastest manufacturer of parts across 9 different manufacturing technologies. That includes molding, machining, and 3D printing. So I just wanted to provide that context. But within the context of 3D printing, we do commercial and industrial 3D printing in 3 different technologies. We do stereolithography and selective laser sintering. Those are both plastic technologies that make parts in various plastic materials. And then we also do metal laser sintering that produce metal 3D printed parts. So, that this differs from desktop printing in several ways. First of all, the machines that we use are large format, commercial and industrial in application, which means that we can make very small parts, but we can also make much larger parts than are generally possible on desktop machines. And the technologies that we offer, tend to not be that well suited for desktop, though there are some stereolithography-like machines that are available on the desktop. But for the most part, these require secondary operations and facilities and expertise to support that. For example, to remove the supports or to prepare the parts. The metal laser sintered parts, for example, have supports on them that are of that same metal. So if you make a steel or titanium part, you have supports that are also steel and titanium that you need to then remove. You also need facilities for heat treating and so on. In selective laser sintering, that's a powder bed-based process. You need facilities to manage that powder and remove it from the finished part and then recycle it. And even within stereolithography, there's facilities that you need for finishing and for cleaning the parts after they come out of the vat. So those are some of the ways that we differ from the desktop 3D printers. And many of our customers have desktop 3D printers, but they still use us, since we can turn parts in as little as 1 day. If it's something that they can't make on their desktop machine, or if the machine is, let's say it's in their machine shop and it's fully utilized, or they don't want to deal with the hassle, then they might use us in a way that complements what they can do in-house.
Okay, so is there an application where you would say to the customer, hey, I think you're better off just buying yourself a 3D printer?
For the kinds of parts that we make, in terms of molding, machining, and printing, in those kinds of technologies, I haven't run across, such an application yet. For early concept modeling, sometimes it's helpful for designers to have a machine that's right there for them. But then there's still overhead with maintenance and so on that they have to manage. So, we haven't run across that.
Okay, that's great. We're almost out of time, but I'd just like to ask you very quickly. You're a tech guy by training and by background, but you're obviously in a business role now. How does that technical background help you with what you're doing on the business side?
Sure. Well, as general manager, I need to be able to do numerous things and appreciate the needs of the business in many aspects, beyond technology. However, our business is differentiated in large part by the level of automation that we've introduced, both software and hardware, throughout the manufacturing processes, and also kind of tied to how we interface with customers. And so I guess I would say that an appreciation of that, technology and how it impacts our business is key for me, well, probably for many of our employees across many roles. But I think that it has helped me, in terms of developing the strategy and managing our operations to have some of that background.
Very good. Well, I'm afraid we are now officially out of time.
All right.
That was Robert Bodor. He is the Vice President and General Manager for the Americas at Proto Labs. I am Rich Nass with Open Systems Media, and that was this week's installment of 5 Minutes With.